to help as many people as possible play Monopoly, because there's no fun when you have all the money, right? Everybody else want to quit. That's how when you play Monopoly and you got all the money, everybody's like, I don't want to play anymore.
And you're like, keep playing.
Right.
Come on. I want all your money.
Right. Exactly. So you have to bring people with you and show them, that there's a different way, and that I did it and you can do it too.
I'm Dana White, founder and host of One Real Story, the podcast and book series where we provide entrepreneurs with practical advice through the voices of successful entrepreneurs. If you're a veteran, aspiring, or even an established entrepreneur, this show is for you. As always, I'm coming to you live from the Voice Hub production studio in Indy, Atlantic, Florida. Our guest today is a 10-year Army veteran, community instructor, and a successful real estate agent that serves the East Coast of Florida. He's not just a realtor, he's a pioneer that saw the difference that he was making in the community, especially the minority community, in ownership versus renting. So he did something about it. His desire to inspire and lead his underserved and underrepresented community led him to pioneer a home ownership program called We Own Things. His experience of growing up in poverty and not knowing about home ownership or how to get started in entrepreneurship at an early age drives him to help and make the change for the future of the next generation today. My mentor and best friend, Mark Franklin. What's up, Mark?
Man, what's going on, man? How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm loving this.
I will say, man, that's the nicest thing that anybody ever said about me, man. Normally, I get a little expletives thrown in there at me, but today, we gonna keep it professional.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, you're a pretty humble guy, and I take pride in the honor in being able to have the opportunity to introduce you. I mean, we go way back.
We do, man. We do way back, back, man.
Like Bobby Womack. All right, so yeah, man, way back to the point of where, like, what, 9th, 10th grade, I think it was.
Yeah, man, somewhere in high school, man. That's been so far back, I can't even remember, man. I'm getting old, man. I'm getting
maybe
old,
you are, but I'm not getting that old. So, where are you from, and what type of lifestyle did you have growing up?
Oh man, well, you already know. So, growing up, I had the chance to get two different viewings of what ownership was and not having ownership. So I grew up in Riviera, Palm Beach, rough town. Dope boys, drugs, crack, people breaking your house. On Section 8. So when you're on Section 8 housing or government housing, you're moving every year, so you don't have any stability. One year you're in a house, your lease is up, you got to move to another apartment. So just going back and forth, kind of growing up that way. And then having my dad living in Hope Sound, Florida. So I was between those two places. And being in Hope Sound, my dad owned a house.
Which is Martin County, near Jupiter,
County,
Florida.
Right, so that's Martin County, Jupiter, Florida, on the Treasure Coast.
Right.
And just having him have that one place from elementary all the way through high school. And that's pretty much, to be honest, that's why I met you. I mean, just having that stability of not having to move and being able to create lifelong friends. And Hope Sound it's better than Palm Beach, but it still wasn't the creme de la creme. It still was, kind of just a little poverty. But it was a close neighborhood, and I mean, we took care of each other. So it just kind of, I think my story is no different than most people that grew up in areas like me.
It may not be as different, but it's your story, right? Because we all do have our own story, even though, we are best friends and we come from where we come from.
Right.
My hard times doesn't match up to your hard times, because your mom and dad weren't together.
Right.
And you just happen to live with your dad, We just share a common bond where we've just kept it throughout the years, and we've built and grown off of each other.
Right.
So this is your opportunity to let everyone know your story. So I appreciate that.
No problem, man.
I appreciate that. So, we stayed out of trouble by, playing ball. You were the guy that was teaching me how to take it to the next level. We were both stubborn as heck, as hell.
We were.
So, I mean, these are the types of things that help us today, to be honest with you, where we continue to push each other in the right direction towards whatever passions and goals that we have. So, but we were about to join the military.
Yeah, we were
on a buddy system.
We were about to join, and then it ended up being only me joining.
Yeah.
So at that time, you came along later.
I was going in NBA at the time. So with that military experience, right? And thank you again for your service, because you're at 10 years roughly.
Yeah, 10 years. 10 years.
What made you join the military, and then how have you grown from that experience?
I just, for some reason, man, at an early age, I knew I wanted to join the military. Maybe I seen too many military movies. A lot of people in my family had been in the military, so I have a lot of veterans. I have brothers and sisters that serve. I have a lot of uncles and cousins that serve. So, and me staying where where we at, it made sense to stay,
right?
To me. So I just I wanted to travel a little bit. So that was really one of the main reasons why I wanted to go, because I wanted to get out of the environment that I was in. I wanted to travel and see the world. And, it's a funny thing happened, because I joined for the travel, and then I ended up, my first duty station, I ended up getting stationed in Georgia. Which is where my family originated from. So I'm like, I joined the military to travel, and then I ended up going right where I always been in anyway. So, it didn't work out at the beginning like I wanted it to. But that's really why I joined, to kind of get away. And then some of the things I learned from being in the military, of course, is, discipline, just having a strategy for things, seeing organization, seeing how you have to have a team of people to accomplish something. So that's something that stuck with me, because up until that point, you just individually think you have to do everything. And when you get there, you learn to mingle with people of different backgrounds, different religions, different races. So to me, that's one of the things that I took away from it, is being able to connect with people that are from different places than you. So that's one of the main things.
The diversity. Yeah. I think that was key too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you learn how to work with different people, and accept people for who they are, because they have different temperaments as well. So would you say that's what the military helped you with towards entrepreneurship?
Definitely, because you don't know where people are from. You don't know their background story. You may have a perception of people just from what you knew about them, or from what you may have seen on TV or something like that. And so when you meet those people in person, you just have to judge everybody individually, because I've met people where I first looked at them and I'm like, I don't think you and I could be friends. And I mean, we ended up being friends for 15, 16 years. So it does keep you open-minded.
Judging a book by its cover.
Yeah, exactly.
And people are, people do that at times, right?
Yeah.
So unfortunate. So would you say, how many deployments you been on?
Oh man, probably like 3 or 4. Let me see. Iraq.
So Iraq. I know you've been over.
Saudi Arabia.
All right.
The one in I'm trying to Honduras. I'm like
okay.
Central. I'm like, it's Central America. I can't.
No, so those experiences right there created a sense of understanding a different culture, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, that's another thing, man. Joining is, my first deployment was to Saudi Arabia, and that was my first introduction into things may not be what they seem. So me, in my mind, and especially coming from where I'm from, the the only images I had of the Middle East at that time was genies, people on camels.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's just just the reality. Yeah, Aladdin. You know what I mean? So you just thinking you're gonna go over there and run into this, and when I got there, it was totally different. I mean, I saw people riding around in Lamborghinis, Porsches, and I'm talking young guys, 15, 16, just getting their license, riding around with Mercedes, and they had the same stores we had, and they had Burger King and McDonald's. Yeah. Now the food tasted a little different, but but they still had it. And so just kind of coming into an introduction, like I didn't think this was here. Why, it's different being here. So that's kind of one of the things I learned was you have to see things for yourself. You have to go out and see things. And
yeah, absolutely. Become more cultured. Yeah. I think when I joined the military too, just traveling within the states, you start to get into different ways of living. Like Alabama, I've been there. You go over to Cali, there's a different way of living, So I think the military has, being from where we from, allowed for me to be more cultured in a, I guess from an adult perspective versus a kid's perspective, more mature in a sense. So, after the military, I think between you had a break, right?
Yeah. So I had a break in service, and then I did civil service for about 4 or 5 years, working at Martin Army Hospital in Fort Benning. So I worked there as a master scheduler for maybe about 5 or 6 different clinics there, and it was cool. It was a good time, a good experience, working for the government. I mean, it was different than being in the military, of course. I
don't know. You kind of lead me to say, what's the nickname that you had in the military?
What's that?
Wasn't it like general? You was like a private first class, like you was a little hard headed.
No, you know what? I don't think I was. So I don't think I was hard headed. I just think that I just had you were going to respect me. You were going to respect me as a person first, and and I just let that be known. And so no, I wasn't disrespectful or anything like that, but I just, growing up from where we from, I mean, that's the first thing you're gonna have respect. And
people don't understand that. Yeah, people don't understand that. It's either like you have a chip on your shoulder, or you the mad black man.
Right. Exactly.
But in reality, where we grow up, it's off of respect.
Yeah.
And then when you leave that and you go into a bigger world, in that same type of respect that you demanded, that was instilled in us in a way of living, is the same type of respect that you give, and you want that in return. Right.
Yeah. So like I said, I wasn't unruly or disrespectful or anything. It's just more of a respect thing. When you speak to me, I got you. You outrank me, but you're going to speak to me as a man because I have kids just like you have kids. So that's really what it was. A lot of people kind of they tease me about it, but that's just how I am. I just always felt like, you should treat people with respect. I never spoke to anybody that was less ranked than me with without respect. So I just feel like that's just something you should do.
No, I think that's a sense of, you radiate that type of confidence, right? Not to be cocky, but it's confidence that is needed to be able to be in business and as an entrepreneur, because you've endured having stones thrown at you, or being called names, or hey, you're a failure, or you're expected to fail. But guess what? You know how to power through and be in your own lane, in your own zone, to where you can ignore the voices from the outside in order to press through to be successful. So now you went to college though, right? So you got out of the military for a little bit, and then you started college.
So I got out. So I had 2 stints. So again, I had a break in service. So I went 5 years the first time, break in service, worked for the government for about 5, and then I went back in for about 5 more. And then when I got out of there, I working in the medical field. So of course you're like, you know what, I might as well just go to school for nursing.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, they make a pretty decent living, and if I'm not going to retire, 20 years in the military, I need to do something that's going to get me paid and keep my head above water. So I got out and well, the first thing I did was got my license. I got my real estate license first, and then
I remember
I didn't know how that was going to work out. So I got into nursing, used my GI Bill. Shout out to U.S. Treasury. I appreciate you.
Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam, appreciate you. And I went to nursing school. I got about 3 semesters into nursing school, and my real estate started taking off. I was just more passionate about it. I was in class, and I went to night school, so I worked during the day, showing real estate, doing my research and everything, and then I went to nursing school at night. And I was starting to get so busy, even during the night while I'm in class, people are blowing me up, and I'm in class trying to, text clients back. And it just got to the point where I was getting so much business. It was just like, why I don't have time. I don't have time to go to school. I'm too busy. Right. So that's kind of where, so I didn't finish my nursing degree. I just kind of jumped into full, just head first into real estate.
So now, some people may have a misconception of real estate. So real estate is virtually you owning your own business. You're in control of everything that you do, clients, your revenue that you receive. And the thing about it is that you may have some stints where you are busy, but then you have some lull points. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think I recall some times where, you were busy, right, but you had a tough decision to make. Right. Because you were doubling up. You were doing nursing and schooling, right? College. Right. And you were doing the real estate to where it's like, am I going to make this leap?
Right.
Can I really survive and make this leap?
That's the thing. What you just said, you are in, first you're scared because you growing up, you want this stability. Yeah. And yes. So it's hard to jump into entrepreneurship, especially out of the military, because when you're in the military, of course, you get paid a salary. So it's like no matter how hard or not hard you work, you get paid the same thing.
Oh, we work.
You know what I mean? So that's the thing. So depending on your situation, but you knew every 1st and 15th you were going to get a check and you were going to be all right. And you could spend all of your money and be broke on the 10th, and you knew on the 15th, in 5 more days, you're going to recharge. And so that was the biggest thing, was me being in nursing school, and me thinking about jumping into real estate, and it's going up and down. And even being in school, I was thinking about jumping into real estate full time. And some of my classmates were like, well, it's up and down. Why would you give up? Yeah. Why would you give up this nursing degree that's going to be steady for something that's up and down? You might have good months, you may have bad years, whatever it is. And so that's honestly why I stayed in as long as I did, because I did have that self-doubt that everybody put into my head. But it just got to a certain point where it was like you either need to choose one or the other, because it was just getting too heavy to try to carry both of them.
And then now look at you. You're a successful real estate agent.
I know.
That came from nothing, came from the military, didn't know what you were going to do afterwards. Yeah. And you found yourself. It took a couple years maybe, right?
No, yeah, it took a while. And that was the biggest thing is getting into it, was making that adjustment to, like you said. So when people think of having their own business, they think of, the first thing they think about is, I don't have to work for anybody, which is cool. That's really cool. But then you come to the reality of, but I have to work. It's on me. It's all on me.
Yes.
And, at first I was kind of sitting around and I was just like, I'm a real estate agent, and, it's just, this is going to happen. And then the month comes where you not selling a house, or you don't have a listing, and you're like, and your car payment's coming up, right? Credit cards, everything. And you're like, I don't have any money to pay this stuff. So that's when you realize, okay, I got a budget. I can't spend all my money on the 10th, and then it's automatically going to be there on the 15th. So getting into real estate really taught me not only helping my community and about real estate, but it also taught me how to be financially prepared, because now I have to budget. Now, I may sell a house here or there, but I have to budget that money out. Yes. And so you just become better financially also. You're just a little bit more disciplined and setting up your accounts, and so it's definitely a learning curve. It was a learning curve.
And I would have to say that if those are pursuing entrepreneurship, there is a sense of stability that you do have working for someone, and you can keep that. That's fine. Like, you can live life the way that we are always taught, is to work hard, save your money, put it in 401ks, IRAs, Roth, traditional, and then you retire and you enjoy life. But the reality of life is, if you take that salary and you project it out to where you're going to be versus what you have in expenses and debt, because you have inflation,
right,
you're destined to have the life that you always wanted, but you're going to be restricted. Now, when you go into entrepreneurship, there's a reason why, in the drive that you have, because if you're going to work 80 hours, 70 hours, and 60 hours in a week, roughly, right? Well, we do it for ourselves, and we do it for our team, whoever believed in us in that vision, because now we're going to quadruple that opportunity and be able to not change one life, but you're changing many lives.
And that's the thing. I think that you just, not everybody, it's not for everyone. You know what I mean? I don't tell people they need to quit school, they get and be an entrepreneur, because like you said, you have to find out what works for you.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't like being on someone else's dime or someone else's time or trading. As a matter of fact, I'll say, I had this, right when I got my real estate license, I went to Austin, Texas with a friend. I'd heard that they were having a conversation. This is me. I just got my license, haven't done any real estate, came out of the military, and I'm listening to these realtors and mortgage brokers, and they're talking amongst themselves, and they're having a conversation saying, I don't understand how the majority of people work a 9 to 5 and survive. And to me, that blew my mind, because while they're speaking, I'm thinking in my mind, how do you live on commission? How do you not have that stability? How do you guys know that? How do you guys live and pay your bills not knowing if you're going to have business next month, next year, tomorrow, next week, And so that was the first time I started bumping into that mental wall of, man, these people think differently. Not only are they doing something different, but their mindsets are different. And now, a couple years later, I feel the same way. I feel like, how do you work a 9 to 5? How is that stable? How do you in my mind, I look at it like this: your job is only as stable as your boss's feelings, right? Because he or she could walk in one day and say, we're downsizing, or I don't like your attitude, and they cut you off. And you still have house payments, you still have kids, you still have credit card, you still have your car payments. How is that stable? How is that more? I'm not gonna fire myself.
True.
You know what I mean? So that's
you do fire yourself. And you know how you fire yourself?
Well, yeah, delegate.
When you quit.
Yeah.
If you quit, you just fired yourself from your opportunity.
And that's I agree with that. I agree with that. And so I bet on me, and I'm one of those people where I'm one of those the buck stops with me people. And so if you're one of those people, then entrepreneurship is for you, because I'm okay with having my destiny in my hand. If I fail and it's on me, I can live with that. But I can't live with someone else making me fail, or someone else, I'm going to someone else and asking for a job, or, like I said, it's pretty much how they feel. Yeah. How they feel that day. They could have a bad day. They can be arguing, and they come home and they come to work and they bring that, and you get fired just because, So that's why entrepreneurship works for me.
Absolutely.
I like being in control.
Absolutely. So I have a short story. So listen, I was in engineering. Where we come from, we're very loyal, right?
Yes.
And so loyalty and respect. Yes. Right. So I worked at this engineering firm, and I worked over 24 hours in a day to get a project done and get it sent to the county for building plans, right? And maybe there was another engineer there with me, but when it came down to it, I was loyal, always showed up on time, never missed any days. But I think this was like '08, and when it was time, the recession was coming, and it was time to lay off.
Yeah.
Well, guess who was first? Me. And I worked. Because I made more money than the average,
Right.
but the thing was, it tore me apart because my peers, they looked around and they were like, why is he first? And it was like, no, he shouldn't have been first. So that's where I felt like entrepreneurship was the best for me.
Yeah, I same thing, man. You get that story a lot. Those are the horror stories of working the 9 to 5 in the stable way. I know that since I started working for myself, I haven't been fired, and I've been doing well, and it just teaches you to be even more confident.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go out and you do things on your own and you make it happen, and not to say you're solely responsible, because someone does give you opportunity or somebody does help you on the way there, but you're not working for them. You're working for yourself. Like you said, I don't have any problem putting in 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
And that's one of the other things that I found out was when you work for yourself, you work a lot more. You work a lot more.
You do.
You work a lot more. But if you're doing what you love, it doesn't feel like work. And I love what I do. I have a passion for it, and I love helping my community, and I love especially getting someone a home that never thought that they could do it. So to me, that's just satisfying, and it's just what I love.
So speaking about what you love, I mean, you pioneered your own home ownership program, right? I mean, like, can you explain what the focus is of it and why you created it?
Yeah, man. The focus of it really is just people like me, people that are from, well, people like us that's from our community.
Right.
Man, you couldn't have told me, I guess I'm dating myself, but you couldn't have told me 25 years ago, me coming out of high school. I didn't even know what a realtor was. I didn't even know how real estate worked. I didn't even know. I mean, I guess I just thought people just was like, hey, you want this house? Let's buy it.
We didn't have that type of influence around us. Like,
Right.
people reaching back, or if we were missing it, they didn't reach back in the right pods or places.
I've never even seen a for sale sign in my neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Oh, true.
So for me, for me to do what I'm doing now seems like impossible from where I started. And I just knew there were no resources, and I didn't know about the opportunity. And so my main thing was to bring that opportunity to the minority community. We just don't, like, again, we're underserved. And not to say we can't do it, it's just we don't even know about the opportunity. I said all the time, had I known about this when I was 18, I probably wouldn't have joined the military, to be honest with you. I probably would have went right into this. And so I just want to be able to be a resource and get that out there in those communities and let them know that there's more than one way to skin a cat. You don't have to go to college and get a student loan and go to school for 4 years, and start at the bottom floor in the mailroom and work your way up. And after 10 years, there's a different way. I mean, you can make money right now. You can get right into it right now. Not even only as an adult. I mean, there are kids making money right now playing Madden on YouTube. Like, it's just, there's so many ways right now. To me, that's not to say it's an old way, but it's a way, and there are different ways to do it. And so I just want to bring that opportunity to them and just let them see it, and also let them know about home ownership, because again, I grew up on Section 8. I know how it is to be unstable. Not to say that your home is unstable, but just you picking up and not being able to put roots down.
Yeah.
Because again, my lifelong friends come from my dad's neighborhood, where he lived there for the last 30 years. Mm-hmm. And so that's where we develop our friendship. And I have friends that I've sold houses to that I've known since elementary school. And I know the difference between the friends that I knew when my mom lived, and I barely know them, because it's like I'm here in school 1 week and then I'm moved again next year. So you constantly moving, and you don't have that stability, and that's what it brings. And I mean, that's huge to kids. That's huge to kids, to be in one place, be able to set your roots down, build those relationships, because those are some of the things that I use in real estate now, as far as networking, having to build those relationships. So that's really why I wanted to do We Own Things.
So, and then two is just like living in that type of environment, right? There's one of two things, right? So we'll say that two, in addition to what you mentioned, is that if they're living in a home that is not livable, right? Like, you probably should be looking for a new home.
Right.
And where we're from, we kind of still stayed in there, right? And make ends meet, and still we're happy about it. Right. For example, you remember when we used to hang out in my house.
Right.
And I'm trying to close the door because we're sitting in my room, and it was near the kitchen. This is an odd house. And it's a big old rat the size of a cat crawling through the kitchen cabinet.
Right.
And I was embarrassed about it. Right. Like, we shouldn't have been living in that house. And then when we moved, it got tore down.
Right. It did. Yeah, it actually tore it down. So, like you said, just growing up in that environment, and then think about just somebody that lives there that they just roll with it. They just roll with it. They stay with it because they think that that's for them. That's what they're supposed to get. That's what they deserve. And I just want to give them opportunity to let them know that you can do better than that. And I'm from where you're from. Mm-hmm. I've lived through that, and I'm where I'm at now. And not to say I'm not this mega rich person. I'm still me
on the grind.
Yeah, I'm just on the grind. I just found a different way to do it, but I'm the same person. It's funny because I get people now that I'm doing business and I'm successful. I get people from my old neighborhood or from high school, and they're thinking about buying a home or something like that. Yeah. And so some of the intros will be like, "Hey, dude, do you remember me from high school?" Or, I'm like, who do you think? I'm not big. Yeah, like I'm not big. I'm just doing something different. I'm the same person. I'm just doing something different, and you can do it too. I'm not here to say I'm doing better than you, or I'm just saying this is another way to do it. And if it's interesting to you, then follow me, and I'll show you the way.
And that's what I pride you on, right? Because it's about not forgetting where you came from.
Right.
And like, some people may listen to our show and just be like, "Oh, these guys are reminiscing," but no, this is a big issue.
Right.
But at the same time, this is the small difference that we are making in regards to what you are doing.
Right.
You're pulling back more from our community to bring them up.
Right.
And that's what I appreciate about We Own Things. Because one of our issues I think we only had one person in the neighborhood that was actually really doing big things with the tow truck, and making like $1 million in revenue.
Right.
But other than that, he was gone all the time.
Right.
Unless you were related to him, or I never seen him. I just seen him in passing, seen the truck. But we didn't really have role models to be able to take care of us and show us the way in that sense. I was a single parent, mom on drugs or whatever, made some mistakes, but I was able to power through, but we didn't have a sense of family. So when people are thinking about buying homes, they're looking at like 2 income families, like the father and the mother, And so I guess your program now makes it to where you educate.
Yeah, you not only and when we say we own things, because I know my main thing is real estate, but it's not just only real estate. When we say we own things, we mean ownership of your mind, ownership of, even if you don't get a house, get some land, get a car, own something, because you can build on that.
Yeah.
Once you own something, you feel better about yourself. I remember the first time I got, a brand new car on my own, and it was mine. And yeah, that's something small, but if you build on it, and it gives you more confidence. So not only are we talking about just real estate, but I mean mindsets. I mean, read self-help books, own your mind, because a lot of times we don't even own our minds. A lot we're dealing with a lot of negative thoughts, and those aren't your thoughts. Those are thoughts that someone else put into your mind.
Yeah,
because you can do it. You can do it.
Sky's the
So
limit.
right, the sky's the limit, and so you need to be able to also own your mind, get those thoughts out, and take your mind back. Own that, because that's really the first step, is having to be there mentally first before you actually go do it. Again, we always say, if you're thinking about purchasing a home, give me a call. But that's the thing, you have to be thinking about it first. You have to, right? It starts in your mind first,
And they have to be willing to make the changes and make the steps in regards to understanding what's a need and what's a want in order to financially prepare. You don't have to have the biggest bank account in order to purchase a home. You don't have to have the highest credit score. Right. And this is where your program kind of helps identify and make it achievable.
Right.
And not just a dream.
Yeah, we do. We make it achievable. Of course, it's great to have the best credit, 800 credit score and all of that, but it just depends on people's situation, and that's the thing. I don't like to cookie cut anything. I don't like to say one size fits all. If you're in a situation where you need to get out of the place you're in, and you need to get the minimal credit score, maybe 600 to get you into where you need to get to, then that's it. Let's get to 600 and let's get you where you need to get to. And then you can always work on your credit after the fact and refinance, and get a lower interest rate with a better credit. But at that moment, you might need to just get out of the environment that you're in.
Yeah.
So we don't cookie cut anything. It's just everything is one-on-one. Everything is what's for you, and that's the reoccurring theme with it. It's what's best for you, whatever works. I'm definitely not a blanket statement person.
And it's not just for minorities. It's geared towards minorities, but you do accept other.
Yeah. So I do work with non. I do bring this up because this is like I said, a passion of mine. Mm-hmm. But I work with everyone. But I just know from my experience where I came from that we didn't have the opportunity. Right. Now, I work with everyone. There's no discrimination.
Right.
But it's just me giving back to where I come from also.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with it.
Absolutely.
And the people that I'm helping don't see anything wrong with it, because I've helped tens of hundreds of families get into a home that, man, it'd be crazy at these closes, man. You will see not only the person buying the house, they'll bring their kids, their granddad, their cousins, their uncles. And it's just, they appreciate it because they never thought that they would be able to do this. And so they bring everybody, and they're really appreciative. And to me, that lets me know that I'm making a difference when I see that.
Yeah, I mean, I see your posts on Facebook. It's like you're taking pictures of the families, and it's like, man, I'm seeing like 2 of them a day almost. I'm like, you do have a machine over there, and I appreciate what you're doing, and I'm sure everyone definitely does in the community as well. So, like, how soon should we teach our kids the value of ownership?
You should teach them the value of ownership from the time that they can comprehend anything. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be home ownership, but it's just giving them lessons of, okay, here's an allowance. What are you going to do with that allowance? Because normally, for us, when you got an allowance, if you got one,
yes,
you had to fight for that. But if you get one, what do you do with this allowance? Do you just get it and buy video games with it? Or are you going to teach them, hey, out of this $20, you need to put 4 back for this. Yeah. You need to give away 5 for charity. You need to keep this much. The whole thing is teaching them ownership. That's setting those principles. So as soon as if they can learn their ABCs,
right,
they can start learning everything else. It's our kids learn what our kids, I guess their ceiling is our ceiling, whatever we think. A lot of times we say, well, my kid's too young for that. You don't know. Try it. Put it on them. You don't know how. You have to push them to that capacity.
And you know what I think is an underrated game? I haven't played it in years, but I played it a few months ago. It's Monopoly. Yeah. And it was the Monopoly with the big money.
Yeah.
And I think that could assist, and that could be very important to teach your kids how to count big money.
Yeah.
Like they're counting big money versus little money. Like, I think that this changes the mind and puts it towards success at whatever you measure success in, right?
Yeah.
Because in order to have a better way of living, it does take money, unfortunately.
Right.
You know, but the money is the root of all evil. You know, more money, more problems. That's what Biggie Smalls said.
That's what they say.
So
that's what they say. But I agree with you. Yeah, Monopoly definitely is a good one.
all right. So Mark, can you explain the value of, say, owning investment properties in real estate?
Man, yeah, that, to be honest, man, that's what it's all about. You know, what we were just saying as far as Monopoly, you know, right? So when you play Monopoly, you have 4 homes, right, and it equals a hotel. And so that's really the game of life, is if you can get into investing, there's a lot of tax advantages to it where you don't get taxed as much. I know right now that's a big thing, how much people paying in taxes. But when you have this passive income, you can shelter a lot of your income. And so that's in itself is an advantage of you having more money. And the best thing about it is it's money that you're not working for. You know, it's passive income. It's not it's not income that you have to work for. So, you know, growing up where we're from, every first of the month you're paying rent, right? And the first comes so fast. It's like, man, I just paid my rent, and it's like it's back again. But imagine every first you're getting checks, right? Now imagine, man, I just got paid. It, you know, it was just the first, it seems like 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And now I'm getting paid. And so that really is the name of the game, is getting into real estate, you know, getting your first home and then start doing it again, copy paste. You know, 4 homes equal a hotel. So you just acquiring these properties, and you're tax sheltered, and it's passive income. You're making money in your sleep. And one of the things that one of the books that I read, Robert Kiyosaki, the Purple book, you know, he said that actually was the first financial book I ever read. And he said, you know, when you that's when you know you're on the way, when you start making money in your sleep. Mm-hmm. And with real estate, this is one of the games where you can make money in your sleep.
And that's an important thing that you brought up, because I was about to say the same thing. It's like Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Right.
That's where I you know, heard of the example of the importance of investing in the real estate. But also another important thing is to read. Like, you have the knowledge of anything that you ever could want in the form of a book. You know, hence the reason why we're doing a One Real Story book series.
Oh, throw the plug in there.
Absolutely. So, because we want to be able to provide information, but that's where the same place where we could find additional information in what we want to do is by reading books. Don't always try to take the shortcut. Right. You know, so that leads me, go ahead.
Well, again, man, and not only reading books, but video. You know, I mean, when we were young, yeah, you had to read books. I still read. I'm just old school. I read a lot of books, but you can go on YouTube now. I mean, it's just, we're in the age of information. So right now it's like we're in the age of technology. We're in the age of information. And so if there's a subject that you have questions about, you can look at it now. And we're very fortunate to have that. And, you know, so I think that everyone is, I mean, honestly, I think it's starting. I think that's the transition. I think people are starting to break away from the old 9-to-5 way into doing their own things. I mean, I'm looking on my Instagram and my Facebook, and I'm seeing more people, you know, open hair salons, nail salons, selling food, you know, T-shirts, socks, shoes, whatever it is, but they all have their thing that they're trying to do. And not to say they're giving up their 9-to-5, but this is extra income on the side.
Yes.
Until it grows, and then maybe one day they could do this full time and leave that 9-to-5. But in today's world, you have to have that second or third income. You have to have it.
So that you brought it, man, we could talk forever, but it's like you brought up a great point. During a recession, historically, people are known to start businesses.
Yes.
Right? But then, you know, at our age, we planned on graduating, getting money, you know, but you didn't plan for a recession.
No.
So I did the career that I always wanted to grow up to do in engineering. You know, there's a story behind that. But I think that like right now, what we're going through this period of time where it's a little bit more trouble, people laid off because of the pandemic.
Right.
I think that entrepreneurship should have been instilled in us from the beginning, because we should have been able to have multiple companies by then, or businesses, you know?
Well, I think the people that wealthy people, they know this. This is not new to them. This is we're just coming into the realization of, hey, that's what they're doing. Why don't we do what they do?
Yes.
So it's nothing. There's nothing new under the sun. You know, we're just kind of catching on to it, and of course, like with everything else, as you're learning, you have trial and error, and that's another thing I would say with entrepreneurship is that failure comes with it. Don't even have in your mind that it's going to be a straight ascent to where you're going to be, because you are going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Understand that there's going to be some failures because you don't know what you don't know. You can do as much reading as you want to, much preparation, and as soon as you take that first step, you might fall.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I did not know that. But the second time you do it, you know that, you know, and so you just build that, and that's what it is. I think that's what entrepreneurship is just failing, learning, learn a little bit more, failing, and you're stepping up. It's not a straight ascend.
That's life too, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of times people don't attribute business to life. Business has a life cycle, just like as human life has a life cycle. You have ups and downs throughout the entire time.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pretty sure you didn't have kids when you wanted to have kids. You didn't get married for, well, I'm not sure if you got married for, I can't remember, but that's a little bit with business too, you know? So that just leads me to say, what advice or tips would you give to an aspiring entrepreneur that you haven't already?
Well, to be honest with you, it's just really one advice I can give you, and it's Nike, right? Just do it. Just do it. You know, you can learn, you can read, you can prepare, but again, when you step out, right, just like when you're jumping out of a plane, your instructor can give you everything, but you got to step out that plane sooner or later. You can read about it, you can talk about it, you can do the VR, but you still have to do it for real. And so that's when you're really going to learn. Even with anything, with nursing, you know, I remember going through nursing school, or I was a CNA, but I was a CNA first. And I just remember going through everything book by book. You're in school, and then as soon as you graduate and you get your first job, right, you walk in and they'll say, oh, you're brand new, right? Yeah, I know you went to school, but this is how we really do it.
Yeah.
It's a whole different thing when you get out there. So again, just, you can't be afraid you have to embrace failure, to be honest with you. I don't even want to say I don't even want to say don't be afraid. You have to embrace it. You have to know that that's just what comes with it. Yeah. That's just what comes with it. If you're a beekeeper, bee stings come with it. You can't expect not to get stung by bees. That's what comes with the job.
I like that analogy. Yeah. You know, you hear stories of success from a lot of people. Right. You hear rare ones that, they didn't really struggle. They just happened to hit the lottery and strike gold. Right. But for most, we all have a backstory. Yeah, we all do. We all do. It doesn't matter what shade, like what language you speak. Right. We all have a backstory. And I think that the main thing is to be able to pass on that knowledge and pay it forward. Right? There's a reason why you're successful, and to pay it forward. So I agree with your advice is to, you know, embrace failure. Yeah, embrace. So you found your passion now. Like, what's your end goal with real estate? Because real estate agents are a dime a dozen, it seems like. But for you to make a niche to where you have is commendable, right? So what's your end goal though for real estate?
Well, the first thing I'll say is as far as I address the first part with the real estate agents are a dime a dozen, which we are, right? We are a dime a dozen. But that's part of entrepreneurship, and when you're building something, you have to realize that you aren't for everyone. You're not everybody's cup of tea. I could come in, say the exact same thing that you say, and someone's going to say, I like Dana better than Mark, or I like Mark better than Dana, and I don't take that personal. it's something in you or something in me that they connect with.
Right.
So even though we're a dime a dozen, it's people are going to connect with who they connect with. So keep doing your thing. Don't get discouraged. Rather, because someone likes you. Someone's going to work with you. So keep doing that.
Right.
As far as the second thing, the end goal for me is what we just talked about. Investments, investment properties. That's the end goal with me. At the same time I'm teaching, I'm learning. And they say the best way to learn is to teach.
Yeah.
Right. Because you have to know, and even being in the military, I remember when I joined the military, it was the first time it was 98, right? And so I had the opportunity of getting out and then coming back in. Now, when I came back in the second time, the military was a different military. It was a different, you start having more millennials and everything. And I remember all of the old heads, what we call the old heads, the tops. I remember them complaining like these new soldiers, this and that. And they had access to technology. They had access to to these regulations, right? So back in 98, when your sergeant says, hey, you need to do XYZ, regulation states this, you're like, okay, cool. But now when I came back in, I started seeing soldiers say, no, that's not what the regulation says. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull it up on my phone and show it to you. That's no. So now you got to get better as an NCO. You can't just say stuff. You actually have to learn, right? Because they're going to hold you accountable. These kids, they have the they can see the regulations too.
Yeah.
So in order for you to teach, you have to learn also. And so with me, I don't even like to call myself an expert, because to me, I don't believe that there's a such thing as an expert, because you're always learning. You're constantly learning.
Yes. Now
you might have some experience to fall back on, but as far as being an expert, that's just like now, right? We have the pandemic, and then we have the experts that come out, the pandemic experts. And my thing is, how can you be an expert at something that never happened before? Yeah. How? Right? So that's just how it is. So you have to constantly learn. And, my end goal is to do that, is to acquire real estate and play Monopoly. That's really the game. That's really what it is.
Okay.
And also to help as many people as possible play Monopoly, because there's no fun when you have all the money, right? Everybody else want to quit. That's how, when you play Monopoly and you got all the money, everybody's like, I don't want to play anymore.
And you're like, keep playing.
Right.
Come on. I want all your money.
Right. Exactly. So you have to bring people with you and show them, that there's a different way, and that I did it and you can do it too.
For sure. No doubt. So now, what are your plans now for the future and projects that you're working on?
Oh man, it's funny, because I had some things I wanted to do before we got hit with the pandemic. I wanted to do a couple of events. Mm-hmm. Hopefully next year it gets a little better and we can like meet each other in person.
Yeah.
But I'm just putting right now we're working on some classes for We Own Things. We want to put something together that kind of teaches you how to maybe start an LLC. Mm-hmm. Some of the things you should do as far as budgeting, also not just home ownership, but how should you budget to get in position to purchase a home?
Right.
Credit repair, how much do you need if you need it? So it's just things like that, just the questions that we get. Honestly, we get it from the people what the people want. Whatever they want, that's what we try to give them what they want. So it's just kind of like they pretty much dictate where we're going to go.
Yeah.
With what we do.
And staying ahead with technology and innovating.
Yeah, I'm working on that. Because I'm not a big technology guy myself. So again, like I said, I'm learning and teaching at the same time. So
you got me, bro.
That's why I'm here. Right?
Yeah. So look, Mark, thanks for your time today. I know you're a real busy guy. Man. Like every one of our guests, you have your everything going on, and you just made time to be able to share your story. So where can everybody find you?
Man, I'm a simple person, man. You find me on Facebook, Mark Q Franklin on Facebook. We Own Things on Facebook. Same thing, Instagram, We Own Things. I just keep it real simple. And then on Instagram, for my real estate, Mark, the realest agent in real estate. And that's me. I'll come up, and if you have any questions about home ownership or even budgeting to get in that position, definitely hit me up.
Yep. Mark, you definitely got the resources. So If you are looking for a home, Mark Franklin is the guy for you. Now, to our listeners, thank you for your time. Let us know what you think of our show, and stay tuned. There's more to come with our book series and episodes. If you have any questions or would like to continue to be inspired, you can always find us at onerealstory.com. And remember, entrepreneurship is a marathon, not a sprint. This is a quote from the late Nipsey Hussle. But if you never ran a marathon, then just keep your head down and keep pressing forward, and you'll cover more ground than you ever could imagine. I'm Dana White. Talk to you later.